Walk to my car.
I can't do it.
Walk.
I can't. My leg's broken.
Walk. Walk! I don't care if your leg's broken. You're going to walk.
I can't walk, dude. Hold on.
You're going to
My
walk.
leg's broken. I just got thrown off the fucking balcony.
You didn't get thrown off. You jumped off. I saw you close the door. And you told me you jumped. Come on.
Dude, my whole leg is broke, though.
Keep walking.
I'm trying.
Go ahead.
Can you advise what we're looking at here? Male, female, close breathing?
Walk.
No.
Female 10.
No. Don't tell me that I have kids of my own, dude.
For most parents, bringing a child into this world is nothing less than a miracle, the grandest, most sacred gift imaginable. Yet, that gift demands relentless sacrifice, a fierce commitment to put your children above all else, no matter the cost. Tragically, not every soul is forged to bear that burden, and when a child's safety, their very life, slips from the throne of priority, the unthinkable erupts. This is precisely the heart-shattering fate that befell little Victoria Martens. Her mother, ensnared by her own reckless choices, cast her daughter into a crucible of danger for the pettiest, most selfish whims. Defenseless, innocent Victoria stood no chance, and she paid the ultimate price, her life snuffed out by her mother's unforgivable negligence. Welcome to Beyond the Crime, where we plunge into the abyss of the most enigmatic, bone-chilling, and mind-twisting cases from every shadowed corner of the globe. If our work grips you, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Hit that bell icon too. Stay alert for every haunting tale we unveil. In this episode, we are going to talk about the brutal murder of Victoria Martens. Victoria was born on August 23, 2006 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Her mother, Michelle Martens, was originally from the Bronx, New York, and moved to Texas before settling in Albuquerque. The identity of Victoria's biological father is not publicly known. Victoria also had a half-brother, Matthew, born in February 2008. Thankfully, Matthew was with his father at the time of Victoria's death, so he survived. At the time of this crime, Victoria was living with her mom at the Arroyo Villas apartment complex in Albuquerque and attended elementary school. She was a happy child with a bright future, loved gymnastics and swimming and playing. Her favorite color was purple. She was a sweet little girl who was always smiling. The then 35-year-old Michelle Martens had been working her new job at the deli of Smith's Food and Drug, a branch of Kroger. She worked hard, and she loved her children. She never drank alcohol or did any drugs up until this point, and it is supported by the fact that Michelle passed the drug test employees had to take at her new workplace. She also did not have a criminal record in New Mexico. Unfortunately, this idyllic life took a dark turn when she met a man named David Hernandez. In March 2016, 5 months before the murder, Michelle called the Children, Youth and Families Department, or CYFD, also known as Child Protective Services in other states, to report that her boyfriend at the time, David Hernandez, had tried to kiss Victoria. She was only 9 years old. Hernandez had a lengthy history of sexually abusing children, including his own family members. He had also been arrested for attempting to kidnap a 4-year-old girl in 2013. Luckily, that little girl survived the incident. Her mom chased Hernandez down and crashed his car to stop him from kidnapping her child. However, he had never been charged for the sexual assaults. And while he was arrested for the attempted kidnapping, the charges were dropped. We don't know if Michelle knew about his predatory behavior up until that point. But when she made a report about Hernandez trying to kiss her daughter, the CYFD didn't follow up because they said only attempting to kiss someone doesn't qualify as an assault. Michelle would call CYFD 5 times in 2016 before Victoria's murder. It is not known what exactly she reported each time, but the number of times she called should have been a red flag. However, no action was ever taken regarding these reports. CYFD would later conclude that after conducting an internal review, they followed protocol and sufficiently investigated each report and could find no proof that any abuse or neglect had occurred. Basically, the CYFD was lying, trying to make themselves look good after such a terrible act of negligence. But in the end, Michelle broke up with her boyfriend and kicked him out of her apartment. However, Michelle didn't exactly have a good taste in men. In July 2016, Michelle met 31-year-old Fabienne Gonzalez on a dating website called Plenty of Fish. Fabienne, who was a regular methamphetamine user, was also a repeat offender in New Mexico with a long criminal record. He had been charged with assault of his former girlfriend a few years back. He took a plea deal for that in which he pleaded guilty to 2 misdemeanor charges and got 2 years probation. His record also included a felony child abuse charge, driving under the influence, and resisting arrest. Gonzalez moved into Michelle's apartment very soon after they met. By August 10th, he was bringing his drug addict friends back to the apartment when Michelle was at work and the children were at school. He and his friends would just sit around the apartment doing math and destroying things. Michelle was a very careless person in this sense. This was now her second boyfriend with a serious criminal record and sexual abuse charges that she left near her child. Her family didn't even know about this boyfriend because he, Fabienne, asked Michelle not to tell anyone about their relationship. He had a lot to hide, and now the grandparents had no idea that their grandchildren were exposed to such danger. Fabienne Gonzalez's cousin, 31-year-old Jessica Kelly, had just been released from prison on August 15th. Jessica had a long criminal history. She was in and out of prison for the last 10 years for convictions like drug charges, conspiracy to commit rape, and she was a regular meth user like her cousin. After she was released from prison, Fabian took her into Michelle's apartment. I can't emphasize enough that Michelle had been dating Fabian for about a month at this point, and his cousin Jessica only moved in 8 days before the murder took place. From now on, the timeline of events gets a little bit confusing. August 23rd, 2016, was little Victoria's 10th birthday. She talked with her grandparents on the phone, telling them about how excited she was to be celebrated at school and spend the day with her friends. Jumped the next day. August 24th, 4:30 in the morning. The police arrived at the apartment complex after receiving calls from the neighbors about disturbance and screams coming from Michelle's apartment.
And a guy's at our door saying he got beat up pretty bad. Oh my God.
What's happening?
There was a lady that's pretty beat up.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Is it a male or a female that he's fighting with?
There's two. No, there's a... Who are you fighting? Oh, there's a girl in the house. I don't know, but this girl's bleeding really bad. There's a little girl inside the house.
How old?
How old is your daughter? 10. Oh, yeah, she's 10.
Is she awake?
I don't know. She doesn't know. It's the other individuals inside her house.
Michelle and Fabienne were outside the apartment. They had been in some kind of fight. Michelle had a deep wound on her face, and Fabienne had a cut above his left eye too, while Jessica remained inside the apartment. When the police called for her to come out, she bolted the door and jumped off the second-floor apartment's balcony, fracturing her ankle.
Come here. Come here.
I didn't do nothing.
Come here.
There's some that went down. No, I didn't do nothing.
Hey, stop.
In the video, police confront Kelly, who was limping after jumping off a balcony.
Why Why'd you lock the door?
Somebody just started a fire and went over the balcony, dude.
APD officers were there initially that night after a call about a fire at the apartment where Victoria Martens lived with her mother, Michelle, and her mother's boyfriend, Fabian Gonzalez.
What were you fighting about?
She woke up and asked where her daughter was.
Uh-huh.
I don't know where she's at, dude.
Okay. No, we got her. She's in another apartment.
Huh?
Did you hit her? Did you hit her?
Huh?
Did you hit somebody?
She hit me and I hit her back.
As one officer talks to Kelly to get her side of the story, a couple of other officers go into the apartment, not knowing what they'll find. When they finally come out, their demeanor is changed. They seem upset.
Put her in your car, man. You're gonna
My leg's
walk.
broken. I just got thrown off the balcony.
You didn't get thrown off. You jumped off. I saw you close the door.
The officers then get a call from dispatch.
You advise what we're looking at here, male, female, close breathing.
Walk.
No.
Female 10.
No.
Before they reach the officer's car, Kelly tells them there was another person with her in the apartment.
Who else was in the apartment with you?
Another guy. Oh.
Where's the other guy?
He took off. He started trying to wipe blood up. And I started panicking.
Who's the other guy?
I don't know his name. They call him Locote.
But the police reprimanded the three, entered the apartment, and were met with a truly horrifying scene even the most experienced officer would find disturbing.
What happened to this little girl? It's horrific.
There was smoke coming from the bathroom, so they went to investigate. Laying in the bathtub was the lifeless body of little 10-year-old Victoria. She had been dismembered, wrapped in a sheet, and set on fire. So the three perpetrators were taken to the police station to be questioned.
Stabbed Victoria in the bedroom, right?
She was stabbing at Michelle and Victoria. And I didn't see it, but I heard Victoria. Okay? But I did not see it with my eyes, but I heard Victoria. And I thought she hit. Okay? That's why.
What was Victoria saying?
Oh, she was yelling. She was just saying, stop, help. And I was saying, yelling the same thing, just like Michelle. And Jessica was just going off.
Okay. What started the whole thing? Did it have to do with meth?
No, I don't think so. It had to have done, I think, because Jessica was saying something that her boyfriend sent her a letter that she has to do something. And I don't know what her problem was, and she had that in her, doing that stuff. And I was like, what? She goes, yeah, he's gonna come for me, he's gonna kill us. He's gonna kill us. I was like, what? Jessica, stop, that's it. What's going on? And, there's no way. And she said that, like, the day before that, you know what I mean? When she started acting weird like that, okay? And I thought she was just, just high and stupid, honestly. And
Fabian. Whose decision was it to cut up Victoria, to hide the body?
I think it was Jessica's, because after that happened, after she stabbed at him like that, whatever, and I didn't see it, but I heard her, but I'm pretty, everything was just so fast and weird and crazy.
Okay, so let's fill in the gaps real quick.
Okay.
On the timeline. So Victoria gets stabbed, right? Victoria gets stabbed. Did you and Michelle leave the house to go get the weed and come back?
No.
Okay, so you guys.
No, we're already back. We're already back. Yeah, and I done smoked a bowl and everything, and that's when I laid down. Okay. All right.
Fabian.
I smoked a weed bowl.
Fabian, I know you were in the room. We know you were in the room when Victoria was stabbed. I'm not saying you stabbed her.
I know, but I told you, and I tried stopping it. She was trying to stab my child. Yes.
Okay, so she stabbed her. Then Jessica came up with the idea to cut up the body?
I don't know.
No,
She had to have, because
you were there.
About that.
You were there.
Let me tell you this, okay? Yeah, I'll talk. You're kind of jumping the gun on me. Okay.
So tell me what happened then, because you fed us a bunch of bullshit the last couple hours.
Because I was scared. But then when you told me that,
Michelle just came in and told us the real story, the whole story. So keep that in mind.
That's
she
fine.
tells the whole story.
That's fine.
So I need you to tell me the real story.
Okay, but what I'm saying is when she woke us up, okay, and said that weird shit, and started going off on Michelle first. And she was like, she wanted to try to get me to, but that's when I just got scared and started trying to help and break it apart, okay? And then it went all the way, we were shambling with each other, and Jessica was just jumping out. I was like, stop, you know, this and that. And that's when we went to the kitchen. Okay, let's get into the kitchen. And then that's when I got freaked out, and I was like, oh, so I tried to go to the door while she was still trying to attack Michelle and us to try to get us out or say something. And then she's like, no, and she kind of got me with it. And Michelle was just sitting like in the kitchen, like freaking out, huh? And then Jessica goes, just no, help me clean up the blood. I was like, okay, we will. Well, I'll be cleaning up the blood from her. I said, just leave it alone. You know what I mean? Stop, leave us alone. What are you doing, Jessica? And she's like, because God made me do it. He told me I had to do it. And I was like, what? You know, I was like, what the fuck's going on? And me and her were just like shocked. Me and Michelle, like in shock and bad.
Okay, so you're helping her clean up the blood in the bedroom?
I didn't help. No, in the kitchen.
Whose blood?
Michelle's. Cause I didn't see no blood. I was trying to. You don't understand.
Fabian, cut the shit. Knock the shit off. Listen, this whole fucking cockamamie scheme, it's bullshit. We know what happened. She's sitting in the other room telling us what happened. So listen, you're looking me in the eyes.
I don't remember if I seen blood there already or if it was from Michelle. I told you that.
You're still trying to Fabian, you're still trying to go back to this old story?
I'm not going to go back to the old story. What I'm trying to tell you is the truth, okay? And what I'm trying to say is I don't remember seeing blood there in the beginning.
Okay, I'm talking about the bedroom.
Okay, the bedroom, I never went back in there, no. No, because once I got off the balcony and asked for help, I never went back.
Fabian's interrogation lasted for 9 hours. The entire time, he insisted he had nothing to do with the murder, while Jessica refused to be interviewed without her lawyer present. Michelle's questioning, though, revealed some very disturbing details.
This is your just-turned 10-year-old baby girl, Victoria, who is being held down on a bed so an adult man can rape her. You are the only one that is going to be able to tell us how she died because you were there. You were watching it. How did she die? And don't maybe this or I think that. How did she die? How did you see her die?
Did you kill her, Michelle?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Who killed her?
Fabian and Jessica.
How did Fabian and Jessica kill Victoria?
Raping her and holding her down. How are they holding her down? Because if I hold on to Corey's arms, it's not going to kill him. Mm. Where were they holding her? I don't know.
Whose hands were on her neck?
Fabian's hands, because he was on top of her.
And whose hand was on her mouth?
Jessica.
When he was done, when he ejaculated on your daughter, was she dead already? Or was she still alive?
She wasn't moving.
After he was done, did they do anything to ensure that she was dead? What did they do to make sure that she was dead, Michelle? No, that's not good enough. What did they do when they were done raping your daughter and holding her by her neck? What did they do? We have to know. We're way past playing any games here, girl.
Where did you get that?
I know.
Where, when you guys started having sex with Victoria, where did it start? In the living room or in the bedroom? In the bedroom. In the bedroom? Whose bedroom? In hers. In hers?
Michelle, were you clothed or were you naked?
I was clothed.
Was Jessica clothed or was she naked?
She had her top off.
And Fabian, you said he had his shorts on with his penis exposed?
He had them pulled down, but he had no shirt on.
And was Victoria naked?
Yeah. She had her pants off.
Who took Victoria's clothes off?
They took the pants off. Jessica took her shirt off.
What did you do with her underwear? What did you do with Victoria's underwear?
Put them in the laundry basket.
You took them and you put them in the laundry basket. Why? What was on them?
Ejaculation from Fabian.
What else?
Blood.
And why was there blood on them?
Because he penetrated.
Because he penetrated her. Okay.
And then 20 minutes later, you had sex with Fabian?
Michelle said that her daughter Victoria had been injected with meth to sedate her so that Fabienne and Jessica could rape her, a 10-year-old birthday girl. And Michelle watched as her boyfriend and his cousin raped, strangled, and dismembered her own daughter. Michelle also confessed that she had trafficked her daughter before. She found men on dating sites to come over and have sex with Victoria. It can't be emphasized enough that she was only 10 at this time, and her own mother allowed these things to happen, or at least according to this confession. Everybody, even the detectives, believed Michelle's version of events to be the truth. It was a whole media frenzy. So they were detained, and on September 8th, 2016, the trio was indicted on charges of intentional abuse of a child, aggravated criminal sexual penetration, murder, and tampering with evidence. Michelle's bail was set at $1,500,000, while Fabian's and Jessica's were set at $1 million each. However, building a case against Jessica and Fabian based on Michelle's confession was proving extremely difficult because, according to DNA evidence and the results of Victoria's autopsy report, as well as phone records, pointed in a very different direction. It seemed as though Michelle was not saying the truth after all. In February 2017, a new district attorney was appointed who investigated the case with a fresh pair of eyes. After a year and a half of analyzing DNA evidence, cell phone data, and conducting numerous interviews with eyewitnesses, the DA came to find out that Victoria must have been killed between 7 p.m. and 8:45 p.m. when Michelle and Fabienne were indeed not at home. They were in a house in South Valley, as their cell phone records showed. So there was no way that Michelle was present at the time that her daughter was killed. Furthermore, the DNA of a fourth person, an unknown man, was found on Victoria's back. Based on this fresh information, the police set up a new timeline of events. At 11:40 a.m., Fabienne and Michelle went to a dealer's house to buy drugs while Victoria was at school. The dealer personally knew Jessica and warned the couple not to allow Jessica near Victoria anymore because she was high on meth and acting weird and could be a danger to the little girl. At 2:30 p.m., Fabian and Michelle go back home again, but they leave immediately after. Since the couple was busy out and about, someone needed to pick up the little girl at school. So at first, Michelle texted her mom, Victoria's grandmother, to do that favor. However, when the grandmother called her on the phone right back, Michelle ignored the call. So Fabienne convinced Michelle to ask Jessica to pick up the girl at the bus stop. Michelle was concerned about that because now even a drug dealer warned them about Jessica as a potential threat in her drug haste state. In the end, the grandmother is told she should not pick up Victoria because someone else was going to do it. Fabienne and Michelle were busy all day, and at 3 p.m., they went to yet another person's house to do who knows what. While there, Michelle texted Jessica to pick up the little girl at the bus stop. In fact, she texted her twice, but Jessica never replied. It was exactly at 4:35 p.m. that Victoria is dropped off by the school bus, and from there, she somehow got home. It is unclear if she had to walk home or Jessica did pick her up in the end, but the point is, she got home safe and sound. We know that because at 5 p.m., Michelle and Fabienne also got home. And an hour later, the little girl went to the gas station with Fabienne to pick up something. Here is the first alarming thing that happened. At 6 p.m., Jessica was talking on the phone with her sister, who was also a drug user, saying that she was tweaking and hallucinating. Tweaking means becoming excited from taking amphetamines or other drugs. So we know based on this that Jessica was getting high. It is particularly alarming because a few minutes later, Victoria and Fabienne arrived home from the gas station, and right after that, Fabienne and Michelle left home to go to Paradise Hills yet again. But they get back home only half an hour later when little Victoria is seen alive for the last time. Bear with me, because right after Fabienne and Michelle returned from Paradise Hills, they left home again for the fourth time that day, leaving the defenseless girl with a drugged Jessica unsupervised and alone at home. We know that between 7 p.m. and 8:45 p.m., Michelle and Fabienne are not at home as they were in South Valley, which is also the period that the colonel said is the time of Victoria's death. Then at 8:45 p.m., the pair finally pulled onto the driveway, but didn't get out of the car right away because they were still listening to music. However, exactly at 8:48 p.m., Jessica is witnessed carrying the lifeless body of Victoria outside the apartment, wrapped in a blanket. Just as Jessica was carrying Victoria's dead body, she noticed her cousin and his girlfriend sitting in the car listening to music. So Jessica turned right around and went back to the apartment, still carrying the body. Right then, Michelle and Fabienne got out of the car and went up the stairs to their apartment. Upon entering, Jessica pulled her cousin aside and told him that Victoria was dead. But Michelle didn't hear this. The two decided to cover up the murder by cleaning up the crime scene and burying the body. So Fabienne distracted Michelle by asking her to cook dinner, while Fabienne and Jessica went to the other room to execute their plan. This part is extremely upsetting, so viewer discretion is advised. Fabienne and Jessica cut off Victoria's arms with a knife. Fabienne removed some of her organs. They then put those removed organs in a trash bag and cleaned up the blood. They then put Victoria's body in the bathtub. During this time, Michelle was already in bed, not realizing her daughter is dead. After the cleanup, Fabienne joined her in bed. Some time passed by until suddenly Jessica came in and attacked them both with an iron. And that is how the two got the ones on their faces that are visible in their mugshots. It is unknown how the two reacted to this attack, and we also don't know if Michelle was still unaware of her daughter's death. Soon after this, but not long before the police finally arrived at the scene at 4:30 a.m., Jessica removed all of the smoke detectors in the apartment. And while Fabienne and Michelle left the apartment and waited outside, Jessica set fire to Victoria's body that was still in the bathtub. And from then on, you already know what happened. Victoria's body was taken for an autopsy that came back with the cause of death as strangulation. Furthermore, contrary to Michelle's first version of events, there were no traces of meth in little Victoria's body. She also wasn't raped, or at least not that day. Tragically, the autopsy showed that she had an STD, which is believed to be a result of a sexual assault that Michelle actually reported months before the murder. The question may arise, if Michelle knew of Victoria's rape and she reported it to the police, why did nobody do anything about it? Well, there is no more public information on that, but it is important to mention that there is no evidence that Michelle really trafficked her daughter. Again, contrary to her first confession. So why did Michelle make a false confession where she admitted to witnessing her daughter being raped, murdered, and having trafficked her previously? Why did the police just believe her version of events without investigating it? It is theorized that during her confession, she was being fed the answers the investigators expected from her. On the tape recordings, she often sounds like she isn't really aware of what she's saying or that she fully understood the consequences of her words. So in February 2018, when all of this new information surfaced, the investigators finally decided to make a psychological profiling of Michelle. It was determined that she was a very vulnerable person, a people pleaser, which explains why she allowed Fabienne and Jessica to just live in her apartment rent-free and bring over drug users. Michelle's lawyer emphasized that she has a lower than normal IQ. She admitted to witnessing Victoria's murder without realizing that she was incriminating herself. So after it was certain that Michelle's confession was false and she wasn't even present when Victoria was murdered, the murder charges against her were all dropped. She accepted a plea bargain and plead guilty to 1 count of reckless child abuse, resulting in death and faces 12 to 15 years in prison. She is not innocent, but she is also not a murderer. She is definitely a bad, irresponsible mother who subjected her daughter to fatal danger because she was afraid of saying no. In January 2019, Jessica also accepted a plea deal. She pleaded no contest to 6 charges including child abuse resulting in death, great bodily harm, aggravated assault, tampering with evidence, and conspiracy to commit tampering with evidence. She could serve up to 50 years in prison as a result of this plea, but all of the rape and murder charges against her were also dropped. As part of her plea agreement, she has agreed to testify against Fabienne. Unlike Michelle and Jessica, Fabienne didn't accept the plea deal and will go on trial. In the fall of 2018, the murder and rape charges against him were dropped, and instead, he was charged with reckless child abuse, resulting in death, and several counts of tampering with evidence. It is shocking that Fabian was released from prison in November of 2019, only 3 years after he was first detained. As of now, he is under house arrest, waiting for his trial. The only reason why he was let out of prison is because his murder and rape charges were lessened to only reckless child abuse, which apparently isn't good enough of a reason to keep him behind bars in the meanwhile. I don't know about you, but I think complicity in covering up a crime scene and dismembering the body of a 10-year-old girl is a big enough of a danger to society. So who could have been the 4th unknown man whose DNA was found on Victoria? Well, most likely Jessica knows who it is. Here is her version of that. But it is uncertain how trustworthy this woman really is. So according to her, the night that Victoria was killed, a man came to the apartment asking for Fabian. Jessica told him that he wasn't home, only her and the little girl. So this mystery man entered the apartment just like that and killed Victoria as revenge for something drug or gang related. Now the foreign DNA was found on Victoria's back, which could have come from skin contact, sweat, or saliva. Until now, it hasn't been matched to any samples in the central DNA database. The hunt for this unknown man is still ongoing. As for Victoria's grandparents, John and Pat Martens, they filed a lawsuit against the city of Albuquerque for not investigating the claims made by Michelle regarding her ex-boyfriend trying to kiss Victoria. The murder of Victoria Martens was a tragedy that should have, been prevented. Had the authorities, had Child Protective Services simply done their jobs properly, a little girl might still be alive today. Instead, their failure left her defenseless, and the lawsuit that sought justice for this negligence was coldly dismissed. As of now, no new information has surfaced, leaving a wound that refuses to heal. But on October 29th, 2016, a memorial service was held for little Victoria, a gathering of over 600 souls draped in purple, her favorite color, to honor the light that was so cruelly extinguished. This was the story of the tragic death of little Victoria Martens, a child betrayed by those who should have protected her, remembered by a world that refuses to forget. Tell us your take on this case down below. And of course, if this story has gripped you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell in order to stay up to date each time we reveal a new shocking case. And until next time, stay safe and keep your eyes peeled. You never know what's lurking in the shadows.